let's be real, Adin. Your community don't fuck with me. And that's the truth, gang. Not only does your community not fuck with me, but the people around you don't fuck with me.
Last episode was about Adin and Speed Beef. Now Kai has banned Adin from chat during Mafiathon 3, and Adin almost cried. He says he won't be supporting Kai again. Check this out.
Guys, I'm not gonna gift him subs, okay? My name is banned from his chat. My name is literally banned from his chat.
Adin put Kai on by collabing with him back when he was the biggest streamer, even giving him advice and exposure that helped Kai's career skyrocket. But now, Kai has fully distanced himself. It's obvious he wants nothing to do with Adin anymore. Adin, meanwhile, is losing friend after friend in the streaming space. But the one thing he still has is a strong, loyal community. And when this drama broke, they had his back immediately. Adin Ross and Cenat's story didn't start with beef. It started with collabs, laughs, and building each other up. Back when Adin was one of the biggest names on Twitch, breaking records with crazy numbers and pulling in massive audiences, he had the power to put a spotlight on anyone he wanted. And one of the people who benefited most from that spotlight was Kai. The two first connected online, and it didn't take long before they started making content together. They weren't just running casual streams either. They were putting on some of the most entertaining e-dates Twitch had seen at the time. Kai brought his over-the-top humor, wild reactions, and fast-paced energy. Adin balanced it with his own trolling, clever setups, and the massive audience that was already locked into his streams. Together, the combination was electric. Those e-dates quickly became fan favorites. Kai would jump in, roast contestants, steal the spotlight, or completely flip the mood of the stream. Clips would go viral across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, with fans realizing that Kai wasn't just another guest. He was a personality strong enough to carry his own show. And that realization all started because Adin opened the door and gave him that platform. Fans could see the bond between the two growing in real time. Whether it was clowning around, trading jokes, or supporting each other during awkward live moments, their chemistry felt natural. Adin clearly respected Kai's grind and personality, and Kai appreciated that someone already at the top of the game was giving him the cosign. It was the kind of collaboration that felt more like two friends hanging out than business. And that's exactly why audiences loved it. As their friendship grew, Kai started pulling bigger numbers of his own. Every time he appeared on Adin's streams, thousands of new people discovered him, followed him, and became fans. For Kai, it was an opportunity that helped accelerate his rise. For Adin, it was another example of how he could use his platform to boost the next generation of streamers. Behind the scenes too, Adin was giving Kai advice. He wasn't just letting him on stream. He was putting him on game about content, collaborations, and the business side of streaming.
Like how Kai came up, he was doing like Facebook little like acting like on these little Facebook things, and
Really?
And then I have a DM from him, and he's like, "Yo, bro, I want to get into streaming, blah blah." And then like the e-dates, and then after the e-dates, it's like then he started doing stuff, and then it's like now it's like boom, he just took off.
That mentorship helped Kai navigate an industry that was notoriously cutthroat. At this stage, their relationship really felt like a big brother, little brother dynamic. But things in streaming can change overnight. For a while, Adin and Kai were unstoppable, running up numbers together and building what seemed like an unbreakable bond. Then, everything started to shift. Not because of a fight, not because of jealousy, but because of something much bigger. Adin's career took a sharp turn. After a string of controversies and risky moves on stream, Twitch finally dropped the hammer. Adin was banned, and that's where everything really began to change. Before the bans, before the drama, Adin Ross had a relationship with Twitch that completely changed what streaming looked like. While most streamers were grinding long gaming sessions, Adin flipped the script. He built his brand around not playing games. Instead, he turned Twitch into a place for raw conversation, unfiltered humor, and the kind of IRL entertainment people couldn't get anywhere else. He pioneered the formula of bringing rappers, celebrities, and attractive guests onto his streams, mixing it with wild e-dates and unexpected crossovers. It was content that blurred the lines between internet culture and mainstream entertainment. Love him or hate him, Adin was the first to do it on that level. And at his peak, he wasn't just another creator. He was the biggest name on Twitch, and Twitch rewarded him for it. Adin was making serious money, pulling in numbers that had executives paying attention. But here's the problem. While Twitch was paying him, Twitch was also banning streamers left and right. The platform had a reputation for dropping suspensions at random, often with vague reasons and almost no accountability. They could do it without worrying about consequences because Twitch was basically the only game in town. If you wanted to make real money streaming, you needed to be on Twitch. Adin knew that wasn't sustainable. He didn't just want to be at the mercy of a company that could end his career with one email. That's when he made a decision that shook the industry. He helped launch and become the face of Kick, a new platform built to give creators more freedom, fewer random bans, and a bigger cut of the money they earned.
What was like your ultimate like decision as like why you wanted to leave Twitch and go to Kick?
Because it wasn't even a freedom thing. Okay, so I wanted to have Ye on stream back in 2022, and I was told by...
And he was like kind of down, right? Because didn't he like text you?
Yeah. I couldn't do it because Twitch said like, hey, if you do it, just letting you know, if he says anything out of pocket, we have to take your channel. Twitch just making weird policy changes and rules I didn't like. And I was like, Eddie came to me with this thing. He was like, hey bro, like I'll give you equity. I'll pay you this much. Run it with me. Let's just see how far we can go. So I took the equity. It's
Kick positioned itself as the anti-Twitch. Where Twitch was cracking down, Kick promised leniency. Where Twitch took half of a streamer's sub-revenue, Kick promised 95/5 splits. And with Adin as their poster boy, the most controversial and attention-grabbing streamer alive, they had the perfect figure to market themselves as the rebellious alternative. But there was one catch. Adin was still technically on Twitch. He was testing the waters, going live with Kick's chat overlay visible on his Twitch streams. To him, it was promotion. To Twitch, it was betrayal. It didn't take long for them to act. Adin was hit with an indefinite ban, officially for unmoderated chat content, since slurs were flying in Kick's chat window. But anyone paying attention knew the real reason. Twitch saw one of their biggest names openly advertising the competition on their turf. That was the final straw. Once Twitch cut ties, Adin went full-time to Kick, instantly becoming the face of the platform. And just like that, the balance of power in streaming shifted. It wasn't just Adin moving. It was the beginning of a war. Twitch versus Kick. A billion-dollar platform versus the rebellious upstart with Adin front and center. And that's where everything changed. Not just for Adin, but for Kai too. At one point, Adin could have been even bigger than he is today. The numbers were there, the momentum was real, and with his move to Kick, he had a whole new platform behind him. But while Adin was climbing, he was also becoming a brand risk. A big part of that came from his association with Andrew Tate. The two streamed together often, and Tate's unapologetic and polarizing personality rubbed off on Adin's image. Whether it was defending Tate during his controversies, joking about sensitive topics, or embracing his lifestyle, Adin became tied to that same controversial label. To a platform like Kick, controversy was good. It drew attention, views, and headlines. But to Twitch, and especially to the brands watching from the outside, it was dangerous. That's where Kai's approach was completely different. Kai was careful. He avoided politics, avoided divisive conversations, and focused on entertainment that was brand safe. His collaborations were with rappers, athletes, and celebrities, but never in a way that risked alienating sponsors. For Kai, it wasn't about playing it safe. It was about protecting everything he had built. Nike, McDonald's, even conversations about building schools in Nigeria. These opportunities only came because he was seen as reliable and non-controversial. So when Adin started leaning harder into the edgy, no-filter content, Kai pulled back. Not because he didn't like Adin personally, but because he knew one wrong association could cost him millions in deals and put his Twitch career at risk. On top of that, there was Twitch's policy. Once Adin was banned, Kai literally couldn't say his name on stream, couldn't FaceTime him, and couldn't even have him appear for a moment without risking his own channel. Twitch made it clear. Supporting banned streamers was grounds for punishment, and that alone created even more distance between them.
oh, Adin, like you could be doing this. People don't want to fucking work with me if I'm banned on Twitch. I don't know how you haven't realized that yet. They don't want to risk their brand. They don't want to risk whatever they got going on to collaborate with me because I'm banned on Twitch. And that's how it works. I'll explain it to you.
While all this was happening, the streaming world itself was shifting. Twitch was still the king, the go-to platform with the biggest audience. But Kick was making serious moves, and they weren't subtle about it. They started handing out massive contracts to convince top names to leave Twitch and bring their audiences with them. Adin was already their figurehead, but then Kick started stacking its roster. They signed XQC, one of the most watched streamers in the world. They pulled in creators like Your Rage and Bruce drop M off, building legitimacy and momentum. It wasn't just a platform anymore, it was a movement. Kick positioned itself as the home for creators tired of Twitch's strict rules, and Adin proudly stood at the center of it all. This set the stage for what fans started calling a streamer war. On one side, Twitch with Kai as its biggest star, holding brand deals and mainstream recognition. On the other side, Kick with Adin as its face, pushing boundaries and selling freedom to creators. But wars always have casualties, and in this case, one of them was their friendship. The more the two platforms clashed, the more their distance grew. Adin and Kai went from collaborators to rivals, not because they hated each other, but because the ecosystem around them made it impossible to stay as close as they once were. The friendship that once looked unshakable was now caught between two competing empires, and every move they made only seemed to pull them further apart. As the distance between Adin and Kai grew, it wasn't just the two of them noticing, it was their communities. Fans have a way of reading between the lines, sometimes even before the streamers themselves do. And Adin's community, always outspoken and unfiltered, began telling him straight up, Kai doesn't like you anymore. At first, Adin brushed it off. He laughed, told his chat they were overreacting, and insisted that Kai was still his friend. In his mind, the bond they had built was bigger than platform politics, bans, or brand deals. Adin believed that deep down, Kai still liked him and wanted to remain cool. But even if Adin wanted to ignore it, the signs were getting harder to deny. This was also the period where Adin hit a rough patch personally. His health was slipping. He wasn't taking care of himself the way he used to. He had started getting caught up in bad habits, becoming addicted to things that pulled him further away from his goals. On top of that, his streams lost their spark. Instead of the high-energy collabs, wild IRL moments, and culture-shifting E-dates, Adin was often just sitting at his desktop, barely streaming, rarely going outside, and letting weeks of momentum slip away. For someone who once revolutionized Twitch by breaking every rule of the platform, it was jarring to see him fall into such a stagnant routine. Fans could feel it, and so could his peers. And then came XQC, who had no problem stirring the pot. Felix had always been blunt, sometimes too blunt, and during streams he began making comments about Adin and Kai's friendship. Nothing explosive, just little digs and suggestions that maybe things weren't what they seemed. And because it was coming from someone as influential as XQC, those words carried weight. Suddenly, the narrative wasn't just a community rumor. It was being reinforced by one of the biggest streamers alive. Meanwhile, Adin's own friends piled on, often in a joking way, but with an edge of truth. They would troll him about how Kai was growing at an insane pace, pulling in rappers, celebrities, and millions of viewers with his marathons, while Adin was stuck at a desk doing nothing special.
Adin, when you gonna do your first subathon on Kick, bro? It's been 3 years, gang. Come on. I'm not even around dick, but like, come on, man. Step it up. Like, you're one of the top 3 streamers in the world ever. Step it up, you little fucking please. And thank you. 1 second. Don't say anything in my chat, Adin Ross. Just please close your mouth. We're trying to figure out who this character is.
They'd tease him about being left behind, about Kai not needing him anymore, about how the game had passed him. On the surface, Adin laughed along. He tried to play it off like it didn't bother him, but anyone watching closely could tell that the jokes were hitting harder than he let on. Deep down, Adin knew there was some truth to it. He had gotten comfortable, lazy even. While Kai was innovating, expanding, and becoming the face of Twitch, Adin's streams had lost their spark. And when your own community and friends start repeating the same thing over and over, it's impossible not to let it sink in. The question wasn't whether Kai disliked him. The question was whether Adin had stopped keeping up. As time went on, fans noticed something different about Kai's streams. Whenever Adin's name came up in chat, Kai would ignore it. No reaction, no acknowledgement, just silence. At first, people thought he was being petty, but Kai eventually explained his reasoning. It wasn't that he hated Adin, it was that their communities were making things toxic. Every time his name popped up, it was either in the context of drama, beef, or rumors. Kai said straight up that the fan bases were the ones creating the distance, not him.
Let's be real, Adin. Your community don't fuck with me. And that's the truth, gang. Not only does your community not fuck with me, but the people around you don't fuck with me.
But that explanation didn't calm things down. If anything, it made the speculation worse, especially because of Kai's ongoing issues with XQC. As we covered in a previous video, Kai and XQC had their own tension, with Felix accusing Kai of begging for subs and relying too heavily on celebrities. Kai felt like XQC was constantly hating on him. And who was one of XQC's closest friends? Adin. That connection only fueled the narrative that lines were being drawn. Kai versus XQC, and by extension, Kai versus Adin. It didn't stop there. Other people in Adin's circle began throwing shade at Kai too. One of the loudest voices came from Adin's longtime friend, Snaggy Hose. Right before Kai's Marathon 3, Snaggy went off on him for not building the school in Nigeria he had promised months earlier. He accused Kai of using the charity for clout and never following through. And because Snaggy was so closely tied to Adin, the shots looked personal, like they were coming from Adin's camp, even if Adin himself stayed quiet.
Cenat, where's your school at? Huh? Where's your school at?
Like, dude, I gotta call Snaggy about. Hold on, no. I didn't even see this. So wait, what is this clip?
What clip?
This.
What is that?
It's you reacting to the Kai school.
I'm speaking the truth, bro. Where is the proof that it's building schools? This could announce Mafia 3, but where the schools at? Huh? That's the real question.
God damn.
Why you just call me, bro? Like, you put me on the spot. Like, come on, bro. Don't do that, bro.
At that point, Kai had heard enough. He decided to fire up a stream and finally address everything head on. For the first time, he admitted what fans had suspected. Yes, he had been distant with Adin. But the reason wasn't just platforms or business moves. It was the people Adin surrounded himself with. Kai explained that many of Adin's friends had made it clear they didn't like him. Whether it was passive-aggressive comments, trolling, or full-on shots, the energy was negative. And Kai, who had carefully built his brand on staying away from controversy, wasn't about to entangle himself with people who seemed set on tearing him down. But then he dropped something even heavier. Kai revealed that one of Adin's close associates had actually used a racist slur toward him. He didn't name names at first, but he made it clear this wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was one of the biggest reasons he had pulled back. To Kai, it wasn't just about streaming politics anymore. It was about respect. Hearing that shocked a lot of viewers. Up until then, most people assumed the distance was about platforms, business, or egos. But now Kai had put a personal, painful reason out in the open. And once that truth was revealed, the gap between him and Adin looked even harder to close. The story took an even darker turn when Kai decided to share something he had kept private for months. On stream, Kai admitted that one of the biggest reasons he had grown distant from Adin wasn't just the communities or even the shots from Adin's friends. It was because of something deeply personal. He revealed that Adin's own manager had called him late one night around 4 in the morning and said something Kai would never forget. According to Kai, during that late-night call, Adin's manager, who sounded drunk or out of his mind, let loose a racist slur directly toward him.
He then forwards and says, "Yo, Kai, I just want to say, man, congrats on all the brand deals you doing and all that from Nike to McDonald's." Tyler's a white man, by the way. He proceeds to say, "From Nike to McDonald's, but bro, keep it real, bro. A chicken Big Mac? A chicken Big Mac? He on my phone calling me the N-word at 4 a.m. in the morning. You're supposed to be a manager and you, what's up with you?"
Kai explained that this wasn't an exaggeration or trolling. It was real. He said he had been holding on to this information, unsure what to do with it. Should he go public right away? Should he keep it to himself to avoid making things worse? For months, he chose silence, trying not to let the drama spill out. But the weight of it never left him. During the same call, Kai said the manager also admitted something that made the whole situation even stranger. He told Kai that Adin was losing millions through gambling and bad decisions, and that if things didn't change, he would consider leaving Adin's side entirely and working with the FaZe boys instead. For Kai, it was shocking to hear someone so close to Adin openly betray him like that, exposing his financial struggles and plotting a potential exit. Kai explained how surreal the moment was. He already knew some of Adin's friends were questionable, even calling them haters in the past. But this was different. This wasn't just trolling or jealousy. This was someone in Adin's inner circle, someone who was supposed to have his back, being both disrespectful and racist. For Kai, that was the breaking point. He told his chat that after this call, he realized he couldn't put his energy into maintaining a friendship with Adin if it meant constantly being around people like that. It wasn't about holding a grudge against Adin himself, but it was about protecting his own peace, his brand, and his values. Kai made it clear. He didn't want to be surrounded by people who disrespected him behind closed doors. This revelation shook the community. Fans who had always believed the distance between Kai and Adin was just about platform wars now saw the personal side of the story. Kai wasn't just pulling away to protect business. He was pulling away to protect himself. And in exposing this, Kai put the spotlight directly on Adin's circle. The message was loud and clear. If Adin wanted to repair things, he needed to look closely at who he was surrounding himself with. Because to Kai, the biggest risk wasn't Twitch. It wasn't Kick. It was the so-called friends standing next to Adin when the cameras weren't rolling. When Kai's revelations about Adin's manager hit the internet, the reaction was explosive. Clips of Kai talking about the late-night call, the betrayal, and the racial slur spread everywhere. Fans demanded answers. For the first time in a while, the spotlight wasn't on Kai. It was directly on Adin, and everyone wanted to know how he would respond. Adin eventually addressed the situation on stream, and you could tell he was emotional. He didn't come out swinging or throwing shots back at Kai. Instead, he seemed almost shaken by what was being said. Adin admitted that his community had a reputation for being toxic at times, and he didn't deny that people around him could act out of line. But when it came to his manager, he tried to downplay the situation. He told his chat that he didn't remember anything like that happening, and when pressed further, he called his manager live to ask about it. The response he got wasn't what fans wanted to hear. The manager didn't outright deny it. He just said he didn't remember, and if he did say something offensive, he didn't mean it in a bad way. It was a weak defense, and it left a lot of viewers feeling like Kai's story had just been confirmed. For Adin, it was a lose-lose situation. If he defended his manager, he looked like he was ignoring racism and brushing off something serious. But if he cut ties, it would confirm that someone in his own circle had been working against him, and that would reflect badly on his judgment. Either way, it put him in a tough spot. Adin also opened up about how much it hurt to hear Kai distance himself. He said he always thought Kai still liked him, and that the idea of their friendship breaking apart because of people around him was painful. He admitted he wasn't perfect, that he had let his own struggles, his health, addictions, and inconsistent streaming, drag him down. But he insisted that he never wanted things to get to this point.
You want to know why this is all really sad, bro? There was a time where we were all friends. There was a time where I was streaming on Twitch back 4 years ago, and we were all friends. This is the most fucked up part about it all.
Throughout the stream, you could sense the conflict. On one hand, Adin wanted to defend himself and his people. On the other, he knew the optics were bad. He knew Kai had a point about the company he kept. And deep down, he knew this wasn't just about one phone call. This was about months of tension, distance, and the growing divide between their worlds. By the end of his response, Adin didn't lash out. Instead, he leaned on his community. He told his fans that no matter what, they were his support system, the people who always had his back when everything else felt shaky. And while that gave him strength in the moment, it also highlighted the sad reality. The friendship that once elevated him to new heights was now fractured, and fixing it would take more than just words. The drama between Adin and Kai kept spilling into unexpected places, and one of the strangest came during Mr. Beast's charity stream. The event was all about raising money to provide clean water in Africa, a positive cause with massive star power behind it. But somehow, even in the middle of a charity drive, the tension between Adin and Kai found its way back into the spotlight. When Adin was asked about donating, he didn't just pledge money. Instead, he tied his own donation directly to Kai. He told Mr. Beast and the other streamers that if Kai put up $400,000, he would match it. On the surface, it sounded generous, but the way it was phrased made it feel less like a genuine commitment and more like pressure on Kai to step up. For viewers, it came off like another indirect shot, like Adin couldn't just do something good without dragging Kai's name into it. Then came another strange moment. Drake, one of the biggest artists in the world and someone close to Adin, asked him a loaded question. Who's your least favorite streamer that you've put on? Everyone knew where this was headed, and while Adin didn't outright blast Kai, the hesitation in his response spoke volumes.
Like, who's your least favorite streamer that you've put on?
Yeah, he's trying to get messy. No, he's trying to get messy.
On as in like Kai is like I can think of. I can think of. Come on, man.
X is dropping balls.
Well,
To some, it seemed like he was lumping Kai into that category. framing him as someone he boosted who didn't return the same love. These little comments and moments might have seemed harmless, but they added fuel to the narrative. They painted a picture of Adin as someone who couldn't let go of the past, someone who kept circling back to Kai even when Kai clearly wasn't reciprocating. But here's where things got complicated. After the charity stream, Adin went live and addressed the situation himself. Instead of doubling down on the shots, he softened his stance. He told his viewers that even though his relationship with Kai had been off lately, he still loved him. He said he still wanted to hang out, still wanted to stream together, still wanted that friendship. To Adin, it was loyalty. He wanted people to know that no matter the distance, he still had love for Kai. But to the outside world, it looked different. It made Adin look like the ex who just won't let go, the person still reaching out, still inviting, still hoping. While the other side has already moved on. Adin even admitted on stream that it was always him reaching out. He claimed he had invited Kai to events, asked him to link up and suggested collabs, but Kai never showed. On the flip side, Kai wasn't inviting Adin to his milestones either. No calls for Mafiathon 3, no seat at Streamer University, no guest spots when celebrities pulled up. It was one-sided, and fans could see it. The truth is, Adin's persistence came from a genuine place. He didn't want to give up on someone he once called a close friend. But in the cutthroat world of streaming, optics matter. And the optics here weren't flattering. To many, it looked like Adin hadn't gotten the hint. It was over, and Kai was already on to the next chapter. By this point, the distance between Adin and Kai wasn't just about personal choices or platform politics. It was also about the ecosystem that surrounded them. And Kai made it clear in one of his most candid streams yet. The real problem wasn't just Adin. It was the way the entire community was being manipulated by outside forces. Kai called it straight. He said one of the biggest reasons streamers were constantly at odds with each other was because of Twitter comms and clip pages. According to him, mods and anonymous accounts were literally being financially rewarded to stir the pot. With Elon Musk's payout system, these accounts made money off engagement. And what got the most engagement? Drama, conflict, beef. Kai pointed out that these pages would take the smallest moments, twist them, and turn them into full-on narratives. A harmless joke would suddenly become an attack. A casual comment would get clipped, captioned, and reframed as shade. And because fans often only saw the clip, not the full context, the false narrative would spread like wildfire. Before long, entire communities were convinced their favorite streamer was beefing with someone, when in reality, nothing serious had even happened. He didn't stop there. Kai also called out TikTokers for doing the same thing. He explained how they would post clips with captions that completely misrepresented what actually happened. For example, if he laughed during a stream, they'd caption it as, "Kai reacts to Adin throwing shots at him," even if he wasn't reacting to Adin at all. Those captions were bait, designed to spark arguments in the comments and rack up views. The sad part, Kai said, was that it worked. Drama sells, and the numbers don't lie. Every time there was a controversy, every time beef was rumored, the views went up. Whether it was Twitter, TikTok, or YouTube clip channels, people clicked faster when the headline was messy. Kai argued that this constant cycle of clipped narratives and toxic captions was what made the streamer world feel so competitive. It wasn't just about who had the most viewers anymore. It was about who was winning in the court of public perception, who was up in the latest drama. And because the platforms were literally paying these accounts to push more conflict, the incentive was never going away. For Kai, it was frustrating because he didn't want his career to revolve around drama. He wanted to focus on content, on building moments, on entertaining his audience. But he admitted it was impossible to ignore how much these accounts shaped the culture. Fans would come into his chat already convinced of storylines that weren't even true, and he was left to either defend himself or stay silent while the false narrative spread. In the end, Kai's call-out revealed an uncomfortable truth. The biggest reason the top streamers felt divided wasn't always ego. It was the fact that their communities were being fed constant drama, manipulated by pages more concerned with clicks than reality. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse between Adin and Kai, the latest development during Mafiathon 3 proved that their friendship had finally crossed a point of no return. Only 2 days ago, as Kai was streaming to massive numbers, Chasur, one of Adin's close friends, decided to type into Kai's chat. But he made one mistake. He used Adin's name. Immediately, the message was deleted, and Chasur was banned from the chat.
I'm not doing this in a weird way. There's been rumors that you can't type Adin's name in the chat. Oh my god, dude, Kai, what the fuck? What the fuck, dude? Dude! Okay, I'll never type in Aiden's name again. Just unban me, please. Fuck.
Viewers quickly realized this wasn't a one-off. From that moment on, anyone who typed Adin into Kai's stream would get the same treatment, an automatic ban. It was a stunning signal. Kai wasn't just ignoring Adin's name anymore. He was actively removing it from his space altogether. For fans who had been holding out hope that maybe the two could work things out, this was the clearest sign yet that Kai wanted no part of the association. For Adin, the message hit hard. When he realized Kai had banned his name, his reaction on stream said it all.
I'm kind of doing my own thing. Guys, I'm not gonna gift him subs, okay? My name is banned from his chat. My name is literally banned from his chat. I'm not gonna gift him any subs. The only thing I said the same shit. It looks like a jealous ex. It looks like a jealous ex, okay?
He looked like he was about to cry, holding back frustration and disappointment. He admitted to his viewers that it was over. Not just the collabs, not just the streams, the friendship itself. In his own words, Adin said he would no longer support Kai. No more gifts, no more public shows of loyalty, no more attempts to repair something that clearly wasn't coming back. He told his fans he was just going to fall back and stop trying. And for once, it didn't sound like trolling or exaggeration or one of his dramatic moments. It sounded final. For many viewers, the scene felt almost like the ending of a breakup. Kai banning Adin's name from chat was like slamming the door shut. And Adin's reaction, accepting defeat, realizing the relationship was done, was like the ex finally understanding that the other person had moved on. What makes it even darker is how we got here. The ban wasn't just about petty platform wars or competitive numbers. It traced back to something far uglier. The night Adin's own manager reportedly called Kai a racial slur. That moment planted the seed of distrust, and everything since then, the shots from Adin's friends, the toxic fan bases, the charity drama, only watered it until it grew into something that couldn't be ignored. Now, Kai has made it clear he wants no ties to Adin at all. And Adin, for the first time, seems to have accepted that reality. Their story, once full of collabs, laughs, and brotherhood, has taken a tragic turn into silence and separation. It started as a friendship that shaped streaming history, but it ended with bans, accusations, and tears. And as Adin himself admitted, it's over. This is Streamer Hollywood. Videos coming out every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday at 7 p.m. Subscribe so you don't miss out. See you on the next episode. See you on